I'll just share one of the other stories that we do in the concerts, things that I think that are just, those aha moments. My mother would come up every week and visit Andrew in the hospital. And, for us, quantum physics, talking about time travel, all times happening all at once, normal conversation for us. So when my mother came out of Andrew's room and said, well, Andrew and I were talking about time traveling. You were talking with Andrew about time traveling? And she said, yeah, and he said the most interesting thing. He said that if he could go back in time and wipe out the leukemia diagnosis, he wouldn't do it. So I went in to his room and I brought it up to him. I said, did you really say that? Or was Nana's bandana too tight? Because I just couldn't believe that. I would wipe it out in a heartbeat. And he said, no, Mommy, I said that. Well, why? He said, because there's been more good times than bad. And I get to spend all this time with you and Daddy. And I'm like, dude, you're homeschooled. How much time do you need? But I knew what he also meant by that was that he genuinely felt blessed by the doctors he got to meet, the nurses that touched his heart, and he knew he would have never met them if he hadn't been diagnosed with leukemia. So as much as people felt blessed by him, he felt just as blessed by a lot of the people at the hospital that he figured, well, I would have never gotten to meet them otherwise. He did.
I have a question for you. Sure, in the book you talk about the movie The Secret. There's several movies called that. So can you feel like you want to actually
Well, in that one, yeah, it was the movie The Secret, the one that was the big hoopla and all about that. And Andrew was all about the law of attraction. So how does a boy that understands the law of attraction?
So I'm trying to figure out which movie it is so I can rent it.
Yeah, it was the one.
Rhonda Byrne.
Yes, Rhonda Byrne's, Brian's, the Australian one. Yeah, The Secret. And so, but of course, when Andrew got diagnosed, of course we did what all light workers do, right to Louise Hay. What does this mean? And for leukemia, it was blood disorders was blocking the flow of life. Well, that wasn't my son. So what we learned through this whole experience with Andrew was, and while we understood that, but everybody was jumping on that law of attraction wagon. And everything in your life is attractive. Well, it's not. Just like I had a friend tell me years ago, and I explained this in the back of the book at the end, how we were making sense of all this, that everything in your life you've signed up for. Not true either. So it's about understanding there's more than one universal law. It's about being open, like Martin would say, case-by-case basis. And after Andrew passed, Andrew showed Martin, we signed up for this. He actually threw paperwork at him. I'm like, how do they make this sound good? But, so in that case, because nothing made sense as far as the law of attraction, I have never seen a boy, his friends would say, why are you always so positive? He goes, because I choose to be. And why not? So, you talk about, and he never questioned any of it, even in the hospital. He didn't, he had that movie on, it was that one day in the book, he had it on for 12 hours. Because he had the one day that he was kind of, Mommy, I'm feeling depressed. And it was when he got to the second floor, so he's probably going into like the third week. 2.5 weeks, and his friends are home from school, and he's getting chemo shot into his spine, and he can't swallow his own saliva, let alone eat. So yeah, you can have a down day. And he watched that movie for that 12 hours, and that night we had a slumber party. And he goes, Mommy, let's do the Bob Proctor exercise. I'm so happy and grateful now that. And he started writing it. And then of course it was hard because he had IVs in his hands and all that. So then I wrote for him. So him and I both kept coming up with ideas in between John Denver videos. So it was, and he still never resented even the law of attraction, never questioned, why did this happen to me? I was always so happy. I love my life. And I work at Olive Garden, so I don't become the crazy lady holding my wiener dog yelling at kids in the neighborhood, and to get me out of the house. And we have guest cards, and so on the back I write some of Andrew's quotes, and I have like 3 or 4 of them. And the one, 10 years old, he told me that the greatest gift he ever got was his life. At 10, who says it at 10? I know watchers already.